invites to CA Yashasvi Bhaiya for the enlightening us on topic the GST Appeals Way Forward and Important Judicial Pronouncements. I'm sure you will gain a lot of knowledge on this topic. Now I would like to introduce about Yashasvi Bhaiya. Yashasvi Bhaiya is firm name Yashasvi Sharma and Associates. His qualifications: he is commerce graduation in ABST honors from University of Rajasthan and law graduation from University Law College Jaipur, and the fellow membership of Institute of Chartered Accountant of India. Hence completed CCA and CCIDT certification from the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India. He is practicing since last more than 19 years in the field of indirect taxes. He is consulting various multinationals and big four since long in the field of indirect taxes. He is also identified faculties for goods and service tax by the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India. He is honored by the Commercial Tax Department for remarkable contribution in formation of law and procedure of GST in 2016. He was chairman and GST Committee of Tax Consultant Association Jaipur for the years 2015-16, 16-17, and 17-18, and 18-19. He was chairman indirect tax. He is now chairman indirect representation committee of Tax Consultants Association for the year 2020-21. He is nominated member of the Arbit Research Core Group of CIRC of ICI in year 2012. He was member of study group for research on GST constituted by the Indirect Taxes Committee of ICI. He served as the convener of Weight Committee of ICI Jaipur. He also represented ICI and Tax Consultant Association in the state level advisory committee headed by the Chief Minister. He also represented ICI in the state level GST committee. He also represented ICI at various levels in government, including Commissioner, Finance Secretary, Principal Secretary Finance, and Chief Minister. He also represents papers at hundreds of regional and national conferences organized by the professionals and trade association for the indirect taxes, including VAT and GST. He regularly representing various trade associations before the government at various levels. He appears before the Commissioner Appeals of Service Taxes and Appellate Authorities and Rajasthan Tax Board under Arbit since last 10 years. His articles published in various newspapers and professional newsletters. Now I would invite to Yashasvi Bhaiya for the today's speaker. Yash Bhaiya.
Yeah, thank you, Kalpit, for such a prolonged introduction of mine. It would have been better had you been said that a fellow chartered accountant this year. His name is Yashasvi Sharma. By the way, I graciously accept that introduction, and I thank you for such a lovely introduction. First of all, I would like to thank the Jaipur branch once again for inviting me here today. Though I am not much of the view that these online conferences may fetch a lot of things to some people, but anyhow, I would like to thank the entire management committee of Jaipur branch for inviting me here. My fellow professional brothers and sisters, a very good morning to all of you. And today I am here to discuss a topic which is very, I am very fond of that topic. Since last more than 19 years, I am working in this field of litigation, and that is the topic awarded to me today. First of all, I would like to wish you all a very happy Ganesh Chaturthi, and I pray to Lord Ganesha to bless all of us with much needed good health and the wisdom to handle the issues and provisions, to understand the provisions of GST Act. So blessings from my end to all of you. Friends, many of you might have been with me online or in the physical seminars during my sessions, wherein I always emphasized on preparing for litigation instead of procedural work. That one thing whosoever have attended me earlier also, they are much familiar that I always say that prepare yourself for the litigation if you want to work, you know, to reach new heights in GST. So prepare yourself for litigation was my motto since 2016, because I could, a lot of people, me and, people could foresee that this procedural work will not fetch us anything in GST. So since that time, I have been, a big advocate of saying that prepare yourself for the litigation work. And today you can note that slowly and gradually the procedural work is vanishing. And that's why my words become more important than the fate of GST is litigation, litigation, and litigation only. And there are ample opportunities opened up for all of us, being the representative of the most prestigious professional body of the world. What we need to do now, we just need to teach our mind that these are the opportunities, and these opportunities are to be explored. And how we can explore? We have to do some in-depth study. We have to build in some skills so that we can, we will discuss those things later on during my deliberations in next few minutes. But the crux of the entire thing is that you need to prepare yourself for litigation. And after the completion of this session, if even 2 or 3 or 5 people out of you would, turn and just think that, yes, I don't want to do this procedural work, I just want to go for litigation only. And I would think that my session has given fruits to me. Today's topic, friends, as you all know, is the GST Appeals Way Forward and Important Judicial Pronouncements. As I already told you, that's this topic I love the most in GST. And when I received a call from the chairman also, and he told me that this topic you cannot refuse to speak on, because he knows that I'm not much into speaking nowadays. But when he told me that this is the topic, I outrightly said, okay, that's I will try and do justice to this particular topic. Friends, as far as the appeals under the erstwhile VAT regime is concerned, I was a bit disappointed to see that I never found good number of chartered accountants in that particular litigation matter under the erstwhile VAT regime. It was totally an unexploited area as far as the chartered accountants are concerned. But yeah, right now when I see it, it feels good, and it is heartening to see that a lot of chartered accountants are willing to come forward, and they want to do the litigation practice nowadays. So the number is increasing, but that is very heartening, and I really appreciate that people are changing their mindset and they are coming into this particular unexploited field as far as our profession is concerned. Friends, nonetheless, as we all know that GST audit has already become a history. And you know that corporate audits and tax audits are also on the verge of attaining the same fate. So, meaning thereby the traditional practice day by day it is shrinking. So we need to explore more, that how can we explore new areas. And this is one area which we will talk today, which will fetch you not only the enrichment of your mind, not only the enrichment of your knowledge, not only the professional work, but the satisfaction you will also get, which I nowadays I'm seeing that to anybody who is a fellow member of this profession, if you talk about it, somewhere or the other, it seems that the work satisfaction is not there. तो ये चीज एक अपने को देखनी पड़ेगी. And I really want कि ये सेटिस्फेक्शन का जो लेवल है ये हमारे प्रोफेशन में आना बहुत जरूरी है. And this might take this all the regular practice areas is shrinking, and we can take that as an inspiration that yeah, this area is going, then it's okay, but we will develop a new area in the field of litigation. We will prepare ourselves and we will start doing that. So by the time the litigation matures to the next level, people may come out and they can get ready to appear before the benches also of the tribunal, as well as the first appeals also. Friends, you must have noticed that in last few months, the department has also begun their activities in full swing, and the result of which is evident in the shape of increasing litigation. I'm sure that none of us would be a person who would not have received any notices. There is a flood of notices in every field of GST. Notice ही notice है, सब जगह notice की बाढ़ आई हुई है. Now the stage of litigation is totally set. What we just need to gear up and take a firm step forward so that we can cash on this opportunity. Whereas I discussed that there is a flood of notice. If I say that, then you can see that notices are covering each and every section, every part of GST law, be it the cancellation of registration, input tax credit claims, input tax credit matching, 3A, 2A, 3B, these matchings. 16(2)(c) problem, the non-payment of tax by the supplier. I have paid tax, but he has not paid. We will discuss some case laws also in this regard. Then refunds. Refunds में प्रॉब्लम है, कुछ ना कुछ करके एक डेफिशिएंसी मेमो आता है. आप अगर इन्वर्टेड ड्यूटी स्ट्रक्चर की बात करें तो उसके रिफंड में सर्विस एक बहुत बड़ा इशू है. अदरवाइज भी जो आप कहने को सब कुछ पेपरलेस है, बट यू नीड टू फाइल द पेपर्स एज अ डिपार्टमेंट, उसमें प्रॉब्लम्स है. क्रॉस एम्पावरमेंट एक बहुत बड़ा इशू क्रीप अप होने लग गया है इन दिनों में. दैट इज आल्सो बी एन इशू विद रिगार्ड टू द जुरिडिक्शनल मैटर्स. देन ब्लॉकिंग ऑफ ITC, and the new in is attachment. Even if the cases are settled, then also the account has been provisionally attached under Section 83. So those kind of litigations, I will cover this particular point with my case laws also. So those kind of things which are creeping up, and you can see that, you know, wherever you touch GST law, you will find that some way or the other the litigation is there. Everywhere the litigation is flowing, and this is a big opportunity for the chartered accountants to just what we need is to develop the approach and preparedness. हमको हमारा mindset, हमारी approach. मैं आज आपसे legal jargon, legal जो provisions है वो discuss करने के लिए नहीं आया हूँ. मैं आपसे केवल आज ये बात करने के लिए आपके साथ हूँ कि अपने को कैसे प्रिपेयर करें. थोड़ा बहुत हाँ हम लीगल पॉइंट भी डिस्कस करेंगे, और judicial pronouncements I would like to put more weightage on that, so that we can open our mind and think that this is how the things are going, this is how the courts are interpreting the law, this is how the courts have been severe on the department. And at times when the courts say that no, this cannot be done, the provision of the law is ultra virus, or the provision of law is not ultra virus. In some cases, one high court says that it is ultra virus and the other says that it is not. So that kind of things are also going on. So once you read one judgment, and you'll see that in that particular one judgment, you will find 20 other judgments, some way or the other related with the points which your principal litigation is all about. So अगर हम एक जजमेंट भी पढ़ते हैं तो उसमें हमको काफी अंदर जजमेंट्स के रेफरेंस मिलता है, एंड यू गेट टू नो थिंग्स, यू गेट टू लर्न थिंग्स कि कैसे कैसे लॉ की इंटरप्रिटेशन वेरियस कोर्ट्स कर रहे हैं. Considering this background, friends, I have designed this session and I have rather prepared the session and divided that into 3 parts. The one is how to go ahead with the appeals. Second is the legal provisions. I will discuss what the legalities are, what the law says about the appeal, how it is filed, when it is filed, the orders, the decisions or orders against which the appeal may be filed, or the orders which are not appealable, the stages of appeal, be it first appeal or the tribunal or the High Court or the Supreme Courts, that we will discuss, but we will discuss that in a short period of time. And last, the important judicial pronouncements. I will just let you travel you through with me in with those judicial pronouncements. And I wish and hope that this discussion may be of use to all of you and will help you find the rhythm as the chartered accountants in this unexploited area. So in this background, I would now commence my PPT, and we will be going through with this. I'm just connecting it. Yeah. So friends, the appeals and the judicial pronouncement, this is the topic. And the Henry Ford once said that most people spend more time and energy in going around कि क्या गलतियां ये प्रॉब्लम है, ये प्रॉब्लम है, ये प्रॉब्लम है. बट नहीं, आपने कभी किसी डॉक्टर को ही कहते हुए नहीं सुना होगा कि आजकल बीमारी बहुत ज्यादा फैल रही है, ये नहीं फैलनी चाहिए. ये आजकल लोग मेरे पास बीमार बहुत ज्यादा आ रहे हैं, ये नहीं आने चाहिए. They never say that. But what this profession says that why these lot of the notices, why these notices are so much, the department is issuing in so much of numbers, and why the portal is not working. No, हमको उसका solution देखना है. The problems will remain as it is, whatever it is. But what we have to do is just give a solution to that. And keep that in your mind, that never try to say that ये क्यों हो रहा है, ये क्यों हो रहा है, ये क्यों हो रहा है. Right. So friends, let us start with today's topic. The first thing is prerequisite. क्या है हमारे को इस फील्ड में आने के लिए, जिसे हम litigation के नाम से जानते हैं. First thing is your mindset. When I talk about mindset, then you will see that what is mindset? Mindset is a fixed stand of mind. That clarity must be there, right? मेरा दिमाग अभी क्या चाहता है, मैं उस चीज को देखूं और उस डायरेक्शन में काम करना चालू करूं. This is the meaning of the dictionary says that it is a fixed stand of mind, that this is what I want to do, and how it is to be done. That is the next step of approaching what my mind is saying, right? So the direction, once you start thinking about something, then you will realize that your mind will always think about that. I will just share you one example, just incidents with you. In the last lockdown, when we were locked at our houses, at that time, me with my 3-4 colleagues, we thought that we should go and do this IBC course. So ऐसे अगर आप कभी पेपर पढ़ते हैं, इकोनॉमिक टाइम्स या बिजनेस स्टैंडर्ड, if there is any news related to bankruptcy code, you will just overlook that. But when we started doing that, तो एक छोटी सी अगर कोई IBC की या कोई इसकी इंसॉल्वेंसी की न्यूज अगर आपको पेपर में मिलती थी, then we used to share it with each other on a group. And now we can see that more than 100 news we have shared in last 4, 5, 6 months. So this is the example that how your mindset is. When you try to do something, you just focus on that, and things go accordingly only. So first we have to make our mindset that how this work will go. The second thing is your approach and your temperament. What is approach? Approach is just to come near to something. That is approach. And temperament is that how one reacts to the world. देखिए ये चीज इसलिए इम्पोर्टेंट हो जाती है कि जब हम हियरिंग के लिए जाते हैं, then you never know that who the person who is sitting on the other side of the table and to whom you are giving your arguments before him. You never know that how he reacts. So your temperament and your approach must be that I have prepared my case fully. and now I have to present it. Let it be whatsoever is sitting on the other side of the table, it's his duty and it is your right that you make him hear everything. You have whatever you have to say about your case. He cannot ask you to just sit down and just go. No, you have all the rights to speak whatever you feel like in the interest of your client, in the interest of your case. He has to listen. So that is the temperament which you need at that point of time. You need to be, aggressive at times when things are not going in your way, and at times you need to be patient also, that how we see that the person on the other side of the table is reacting. So that is that temperament needs to be developed in your in yourselves to come forward for this particular thing. Now friends, this is the basic thing, that the knowledge of the parent law. अगर आप जीएसटी में लिटिगेशन कर रहे हैं या आप इनकम टैक्स में लिटिगेशन कर रहे हैं, तो आपको उस लॉ का इन डेप्थ नॉलेज होना चाहिए. आई फील हेजिटेंट बट आई हैव टू से, बिकॉज मैं आपसे फ्रेंकली बात कर रहा हूँ. हम क्या करते हैं, कानून में अगर कोई प्रॉब्लम आ रही है, कोई हमारे पास नोटिस आता है, तो हम एक पर्टिकुलर चीज को निकालते हैं और उसको उतना पढ़ लेते हैं. So that never gives you a right, way forward. You might lose something, you might oversight something which is in what the other section says. So it is a principle saying of law that you cannot read the law in isolation. You have to read the law and in entirety, and then you form your decision, your opinion, whatsoever you are going, because that will make your way forward, that how you will proceed to this particular case. And having said that, constitution is the mother of everything. Now all the laws and the taxation laws and everything that comes out from the constitution. So as far as the litigation in the taxation field is concerned, we ought to have some fair reasonable and fair knowledge of constitution also. चलो ज्यादा नहीं करते हैं. आर्टिकल 14 वो आपने बहुत सुना होगा, that article 14 equality, for 19(1)(g) right to the business, 21 300 capital A, 302 246A, जिससे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के थ्रू ये कानून जीएसटी लाया गया, 286 265, ये सारे 303 302, ये सारे आर्टिकल्स हैं जो आप मोर और लेस अगर देखेंगे तो आपको जीएसटी लॉ में जब लिटिगेशन में आप आगे जाएंगे तो इन पॉइंट्स को आपको डीपली देखना पड़ेगा, दैट हाउ दीज the articles can be used, can be invoked. When we say, जैसे मैंने आपसे शुरू में कहा था कि अल्ट्रा वायरस अगर कोई कानून बन जाता है, that it is not in conformity with the law, then you see that there is article 14, article 19(1) within bracket G, ये आर्टिकल्स उनमें इन्वोक हैं. तो जब आप फर्स्ट आपका जो डॉक्यूमेंट है उसको प्रिपेयर करेंगे, then these things need to be very much emphasized to be given on these points. So we ought to know that how the constitution is placed with this particular issue. So those things we need to understand, and we just need to go forward with that. Now friends, when you see about the GST law, you will find that in section 670, in section 122, when we talk about the penalty, उसमें आप ये देखेंगे कि सीआरपीसी और सीपीसी का भी उन्होंने जिक्र किया हुआ है. ना मैं आपसे ये नहीं कहता कि आप सीआरपीसी सीपीसी पूरे पढ़ें, बट एक सेक्शन 100 और ये 101, ये जो सेक्शंस हैं, इन सेक्शंस को एक बार गो थ्रू करें, जस्ट सी दैट हाउ दीज थिंग्स आर गोइंग. क्योंकि ट्राइब्यूनल्स की जहां बात आती है तो उनका जो वर्किंग है वो सीपीसी के तहत चल रही है, कैसे चल रही है, इट इज मेंशन्ड इन दी सेक्शन 116 और इनमें सब में मेंशन किया हो. तो अपने को एक रीजनेबल नॉलेज इन सब चीजों की होनी चाहिए, दैट हाउ दिस these provisions with regard to the other allied laws are going. So this is one thing which we need to improve in ourselves. I don't think I need to say anything in that. Interpretational skills we got to develop, and how it will be developed, I don't think that I need to suggest you. You have to read. The best way of doing is to read a judgment. When you read a judgment, you come to know the basic law, you come to know the object behind the law, you come to know how the constitution is placed with that law, you come to know that how this particular the particular provision is interpreted by the petitioner or the respondent in their respective arguments. You ought to know that what the courts are thinking about it. You ought to know that what fine lines are there between the sections. So these things we need to understand. And I again say that start reading judgment, one judgment a day, and you will see that within a month you will feel that things are in your grip. You can very well compile things of your own. So this interpretational skills we need to improve, and that can be improved by the, as I suggested you can go with that also. Now फ्रेंड्स, एक पुरानी कहावत क्रिमिनल लॉ में थी कि अगर एफआईआर किसी आदमी की सही है तो वो सुप्रीम कोर्ट तक, एक डॉक्यूमेंट ऐसा है जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट तक सेम रहता है, और उस डॉक्यूमेंट के ऊपर कोर्ट्स और सुप्रीम कोर्ट भी बहुत ज्यादा उसके ऊपर रिलाई करते हैं. सो फर्स्ट, जैसा मैंने अभी थोड़ी देर पहले भी आपसे कहा, फर्स्ट जो इन्फॉर्मेशन या कम्युनिकेशन आप डिपार्टमेंट को देते हैं, ये बिल्कुल थॉरो और वास्ट कम्युनिकेशन होनी चाहिए. इसमें ये नहीं होना चाहिए कि आपका एक नोटिस आया and I casually reply to that notice that ठीक है, एक बार तो उस नोटिस की तारीख आ गई, इसका जवाब फाइल करो, बाद में देखेंगे. नहीं, you can file an adjournment if you are not prepared with the reply, but never do that let us file one reply as whatever it is coming to comply with the date. No, adjournment you can file, take an adjournment, take 15 days time, take 20 days time, make your first communication very effective, very comprehensive, and at the time self-speaking. So once you do that, you are done with 40-50% of your initial job. Mark my words. That communication is one which will be relied up to the final until you attain the final authority of law. So that particular thing, always keep in mind. Never take easy the first communication whatsoever you are making with the department. It should be precise. It should be crisp. It should be vast, and covering all the areas and points, and also the judicial judgments, which is my next point. These all these things must be there in your first communication. बस आप ये चीज जान लें कि first communication के अंदर हमको सब चीजें देके चलनी है. Now, when you start reading the judgments, you will know that how the facts are flowing, how the arguments are going, what are the laws interpretation, and what are the judgments, what the judgment says. These things collectively needs to be understood, and once we are done with that, this is half of the job done, and we can say that now we can proceed further, and we can get some good results out of it. So this is what we basically need to understand as a prerequisite of the appeal. What I personally did when I started the litigation in 17, 18, 19 years back. And I feel that youngsters, whosoever is listening, this is the way that we should proceed. And, then sky is the limit. चलिए, एक छोटा सा अपन देख लेते हैं कि अपील क्या है. वैसे आप सब लोग जानते हैं कि कोई ऑर्डर नीचे वाला कोर्ट कर देता है, और हम अगर उससे अग्रीव हैं, हम उससे सेटिस्फाइड नहीं हैं, in that case we can file the appeal to the higher courts, and that is you can say that a resort from which justice can be taken by the higher courts of a wrongdoing, or what we think is a wrongdoing of a lower authority or the court. That is the law. That is what is called the appeal. Now, two points which I wanted to highlight here is, one is that मेरे को ये मतलब कभी-कभी बड़ा ऐसे लगता भी है that if we talk in a pure legal language, then a lot of people don't understand what is plaintiff also. So a person who is making the appeal is called the appellant or the plaintiff, and respondent is the person who is the second party जिसको हमने challenge किया है. So that is the respondent, right? So moving forward. Now friends, this is very important. I will give more time to these, because when you start reading the judgments, you will find those legal maxims frequently used in the judgments. So this is very important to understand that आप बहुत बड़ा एक पैराग्राफ है, उसको 4 शब्द में लिख सकते हैं. So this is the beauty of these the legal maxims. Let us start. I will just talk. I will discuss and talk with you for 8-10 legal maxims, which you will find that once you start reading the judgments, you will come to know that these maxims become important there. First is void ab initio. It is the most frequently used. What does it mean? It means that the act which is done was wrong since it started. As simple as that. मैंने अगर कोई काम किया तो उस काम को मैंने शुरू से ही गलत किया. This is what is mentioned by the Supreme Court in the Delhi Development Authority's case, and it is a very good judgment and a big a very lengthy judgment. And उसमें सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने एब इनिशियो का जो टर्म था उसको यूज करके ये जजमेंट पास किया. एक दूसरा जजमेंट हुआ शिव कुमार एंड यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया, उसके अंदर भी ये कहा गया. मैं एक एग्जांपल से आपको समझाता हूँ. मान लीजिए कि डिपार्टमेंट ने कहा कि if the revenue issues a show cause notice for demand of tax on the constructed flats or constructed building which I am selling, right? So the moment I say that the pay tax on the constructed building, for that matter, I say that in particular case that the CC has been taken by the builder. What will happen? Then you will say that there will be no tax at the immovable property cannot be taxed under GST Act. So the thing is that when the law says that it cannot be done and the revenue has started doing it, then it is where void ab initio. क्योंकि आपने जो SCN issue किया वो SCN भी कानून की लाइट में सही नहीं था, and in that case it becomes the void ab initio activity, right? So this is one thing which you will find very often in that. The second is octary incubit onus probandi. It means that the burden of proof lies on the plaintiff. इसका क्या मतलब हुआ? इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि अगर मेरे साथ कोई गलत बात हुई है, मेरे साथ कोई कानून में नाइंसाफी हुई है, तो मुझे ये प्रूव करना पड़ेगा कि मैं सही था और इसलिए मेरे पे कानून ने गलत तरीके से काम किया. So what I'm just citing you the judgments which you can read if you want to more understand what these maxims are. चलिए मैंने जो अभी एग्जांपल दिया मैं उसी को कैरी लेके चलता हूँ आगे. मान लीजिए SCN इशू आता कंस्ट्रक्टेड प्रॉपर्टी पे और डिपार्टमेंट ने कहा कि साहब हमको नोटिस आप दो. नाउ इट इज ऑन यू दैट यू हैव टू से दैट नो द लायबिलिटी इज नॉट देयर ऑन मी. व्हाट यू कैन से दैट आई हैव टेकन द कंप्लीशन सर्टिफिकेट. Since the completion certificate is in my hand, the property cannot be taxed. So this particular burden that I am not liable to pay the tax on this particular thing, then you need to discharge. आपको ये चीज discharge करनी पड़ेगी कि ये मेरे पे burden इसका नहीं है. So this is how the onus is shifting. Now you will see that interestingly, when the arguments are flowing in continuation, then you will see that the burden gets shifted. The burden gets shifted to revenue. Sometimes the burden gets shifted to the assessee also. So this is how the interesting thing goes during the course of the argument. So basically, the bottom line is that we need to understand that the burden is always on the plaintiff, that he has to say that this is why the taxation is leviable or non-leviable on him. Now the next is the actus non facit reum nisi mens cetera. It says that when you judge somebody that he has done something wrong or committed a crime, then you will have to see that the intention was there. Initially, what was happening? It was happening that I am talking about way back, जब आप केस बना देते थे और काम खत्म हो जाता था. But now what is happening is that in as the law progresses, जैसे जैसे evolve हुआ, कुछ case laws आए, ये समझ में आया कि आप किसी आदमी का क्राइम उसका इंटेंट देखे बिना नहीं करेंगे। सो ये भी कई बार डिबेट हुई कि इन फाइनेंशियल इन फिस्कल लॉज यू कैन नॉट से दैट द इंटेंशन ऑफ मेंस रिया मस्ट बी देयर, but both ways the cases are there for you, that you can say that mens rea needs to be proved so that a person can be held guilty and the repercussions may be held upon him. So both kind of cases are there. I have just mentioned one good case of Rajasthan High Court, state of Rajasthan versus Shera Ram. Isme if you just write down the citation, if you want to read this judgment, this is a good judgment in regards to the intent of mens rea. Now the next is audi alteram partem. This is the basic right also, the fundamental right of a person, that nobody should be condemned unheard. आप किसी आदमी को बिना सुने बिना उसको क्रिमिनल या उसको गिल्टी नहीं बना सकते हो। देखिए इनमें कई केसेस में क्या होता है, जो एक्स पार्टी असेसमेंट्स हुए, वो एक्स पार्टी असेसमेंट्स के आपको दुनिया भर के जजमेंट मिल जाएंगे। वो कहते हैं कि अगर आपने जब अपॉर्चुनिटी ऑफ बीइंग हर्ड नहीं दी है किसी आदमी को, एंड यू विल सी दैट एवरीवेयर वेयर द एडजुडिकेशन इज देयर, यू विल फाइंड दिस वर्ड्स दैट अपॉर्चुनिटी ऑफ बीइंग हर्ड मस्ट बी गिवन टू द एसएससी। सो दिस इज बेसिकली द राइट ऑफ द एसएससी कि आप मुझे कह रहे हैं कि आपने ऐसा किया तो मुझे बताने का मौका दें। Just allow me to speak on my part also that I have not done this, or whatever your contention is not right in this particular background or this particular legal provisions. So an opportunity needs to be given. A very talked about and a landmark judgment of Maneka Gandhi versus Union of India. उनमें उन्होंने ये कहा कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने 3 चीजें एलिसिडेट की कि आपकी सेड मैगजीन में क्या क्या साइड है। एक तो नोटिस ऑफ द केस टू बी मेट, ये कंडीशन है कि आपका जो नोटिस देना है वो नोटिस जाना चाहिए। दूसरा अपॉर्चुनिटी ऑफ बीइंग टू एक्सप्लेन, ये 2 चीजें होनी चाहिए। आप नोटिस उसको दो और अपॉर्चुनिटी दो। व्हेन आई टॉक्ड अबाउट द एक्स पार्टी असेसमेंट्स, व्हाट हैपेंस, आपने देखे होंगे सबने एक्स पार्टी असेसमेंट्स को रीओपन करवाया होगा वैट के रिजीम में। The only thing which was written there in VAT Act was that the notice was not served on the assessee. Once the moment you say that a notice is not served on the assessee, you get a good ground that opportunity was given, what was not given, or opportunity was not offered to the assessee. तो उस केस के अंदर इनवेरिएबली कोर्ट्स ने यहाँ का ये कहा है कि आप उसका बेसिक फंडामेंटल राइट नहीं ले सकते, उसको आप एक अपॉर्चुनिटी जरूर दें सुनने की कि आपने जो किया है वो सही है या नहीं है। Now next is the delegates non-protest delegate. This is one thing which we say that the authority which is given to you that cannot be further delegated, right? This is the judgment of 7 judges bench of Supreme Court. I will not take much time on that, right? Now this is a good maxim, adjustem generis. ये आप देखेंगे कि कई जगह पे आपको specifically in the cases of classification, this particular maxim is frequently used. When I say classification, let us first discuss that what this maxim means. It means that the following words which are not specific, those words would take color from the words which are specific and which were followed, meaning thereby अगर आपने कोई चीज, मैं एक एंट्री से शुरुआत करता हूँ, आपने एक एंट्री शुरू की, उसमें ABCD कुछ आइटम्स थे, मान लीजिए कि आपके, मैं आई विल डायरेक्टली कम टू वन ऑफ द केसेस व्हिच we were fighting in this particular thing. Let me tell you that the meaning of this maxim is that what the court held in the case of Kavalappara Kota Rachil Kochuni. In this case, the Supreme Court 5 judges bench say that what this particular maxim say, ये maxim ये कह रही है कि when general words जो हैं वो follow करते हैं किसी particular specific words को, in that nature जो जनरल वर्ड्स हैं वो अपना कलर लेंगे स्पेसिफिक वर्ड से. दिस इज एज सिंपल एज दैट. मीनिंग देयर बाई एक एंट्री जो लास्ट में जाके खुली हुई छूटी हुई है, एक प्रोविजन जो लास्ट में खुला हुआ छूटा है, वो एब्सर्डिटी के साथ कहीं भी ट्रेवल नहीं कर सकता है. इट हैज टू ट्रेवल within the limit which the earlier words are fixing for that particular open, right? So this is what the court said. Now this is another judgment of Maharashtra University Health Sciences. You can note it down and read later. Just focus on what I'm saying right now. Let me share you one entry with that. There was entry number 16 of Schedule 5 to the VAT Act, if I'm not wrong, and that was related to the cooked food. The entry which was written there was that it was, I will just give you the brief of the entry. It was written the pizza, burgers, French fries, hot dogs, noodles, and 3/4 same items. And उसके बाद में उन्होंने लिखा and other cooked food sold by the branded chain. That was the condition which was there. So what it means, now what happened, that if we say that for example A is a restaurant chain and that chain is selling these items which I just shared with you, along with the Indian food also, roti, dal, sabji, and this and everything, then the department said that once you are registered branded chain, in that case all cooked food, because the term which was written there was any other cooked food. So what the department's contention in that case was that each and every food whatsoever is being sold by that particular chain was taxed at the regulatory entry of 14.5%, entry number 16 of Schedule 5 appended to the VAT Act. Now the thing is that we contended that you cannot interpret so absurdly the entry, because the entry is starting with the pizza, burger, French fries, hot dog, these are all as fast food items, and any other cooked food will also be taken in the light of these particular items which were mentioned earlier. So this was why I discussed this entry with you, because you may have a fair idea of what the maximum adjustum generis is all about. So it will, the following words which are left open will take their color with the earlier words which are there in the law, or for that matter for any entry also. And this, you all know that ignorantia facti excusat, ignorantia juris non excusat. It says that fact का अगर आपने कोई ignore कर दिया तो वो फिर भी excuse किया जा सकता है, but ignorance of law is no excuse. अगर आप कहते हैं कि साहब मैंने ये एंट्री का जो टैक्स लगाया वो 5% या 18% या 12% लगा दिया, and we can fight on that, but we cannot say that कि हमको मालूम ही नहीं था कि हमारा रजिस्ट्रेशन 40 लाख से ऊपर होना था. That cannot be an excuse. So fact maybe you can say, but law का ignorance excusable नहीं है. ये मैं आपसे डिस्कस नहीं करूंगा. Locus standi is one thing, because it is very beautifully narrated in Oswald Chemical and Fertilizers Limited case. The right of a party to bring an action to appear. जैसा मैंने पहले भी डिस्कस आपसे किया कि एक राइट है किसी भी पार्टी का कि वो अपीयर हो बिफोर एनी कोर्ट, कि भाई मुझे सुनो, मैं क्या कहना चाह रहा हूँ, मुझे सुन लीजिए. इस केस के अंदर एक एक्साइज का रिफंड का मैटर था, तो उसमें कोर्ट ने कहा कि नहीं, आप उनको सुनिए, उनकी बात सुनिए, उसके बाद आपको जो भी करना है आप वो करिए. So this is what the locus standi term is known for. Next is nomo debate esse judex in propecia sua causa. This is one thing, friends, which you all might have seen that in the earlier VAT regime since 2010, this particular principle of law was not followed, that a prosecutor should not be a judge, meaning thereby the investigating officer, whosoever has made the case, that he should not decide the case. We presented this particular thing before the then commissioner and the amendment was brought that a judge, a prosecutor, मान लीजिए मैं एग्जांपल आपसे डिस्कस करूं कि मैं एक एंटी एविजन का ऑफिसर हूँ, मैंने जाके कोई केस वहां पे आपके मैं प्रीमाइसेस पे आया, मैंने केस बना के केस डिटेक्ट करके मैंने उसको केस को फ्रेम किया। सो उसमें क्या होता था कि मैंने केस फ्रेम किया और सॉरी और मैं ही उस केस को डिसाइड करूं। So this was basically against the principle of prosecutor should not be a judge. So लॉ में ये कहा गया कि साहब जिसने केस बनाया है वो उसको जज नहीं करेगा। अब ये एक अलग मैटर है कि उसमें उन्होंने यही किया, आप वो अपने पड़ोस में बैठे हुए आदमी को दे देते हैं केस कि साहब मैंने नहीं किया, ये इन्होंने डिसाइड किया, बट दैट वाज नॉट द बेसिक इंटेंशन ऑफ द लेजिस्लेचर। द थिंग वाज because I am making a case with my predetermined mind that this tax and interest or whatsoever penalty is to be fastened on the assessee, वो लगेगी, तो मैं जब उस केस को डिसाइड करूंगा तो उस केस को मैं उसी दिमाग से डिसाइड करूंगा कि मुझे वो लगाना है। My mind will not allow me to think anything else. So this particular thing is specifically in cases of anti-evasion. So there is one principle that prosecutor should not be a judge, and whosoever has made the case, he must not decide the case. This is a good judgment if you want to read. Nobody should be, the principles which were laid down in that particular judgment was the nobody should be condemned unheard. I have already discussed with you, and nobody should be judge of his own case. Pause. क्या होता है फ्रेंड्स, एक एक्सेप्शन का प्रिंसिपल भी होता है। When you see that, मान लीजिए कि मैंने कोई केस बनाया और मैं अभी एक as an adjudicating officer I have made the case, and later on the assessee filed an appeal and I become the appellate authority. In that case, I cannot hear that case which I made. So that is called the exception. चलिए इसको अपन छोड़ के आगे बढ़ते हैं। Res judicata, this you will find mentioned in a lot of cases. Narayan Prabhu, Venkateshwar Prabhu. In this case, what res judicata means is that the matter already adjudicated by the competent court, and now they may not peruse this particular in the same party's case. So this is res judicata. आप इसको simple words में समझ लें कि मैंने पहले कोई काम कर दिया और सेम चीज को मैं दोबारा से I may not peruse that. Concealment of truth of a statement of falsehood. Suppressia veri or suggestion falsi. It means that one cannot be held guilty unless he has informed about his crime. आप उसको बताएंगे नहीं कि उसने ये क्राइम कर दिया और उसको कह देंगे कि तेरा हमने ये कर दिया, ये नहीं होगा. You have to tell him that this is the crime which he has committed, and because of that the repercussions what he is facing today are going in that direction, right? So friends, these were some of the important maxims which I wanted to discuss with you, and now we will discuss some of the provisions related to appeals. And as I earlier told you that it's already been 50 minutes since we are talking and we have just covered that maxims. मैं कम टाइम इसको देके और judicial pronouncement पे जब jump करेंगे अपन, we will discuss those judicial pronouncements in detail. But to reach there, it is very important to understand that what is written there in the provision of law कि appeal क्या है, कैसे है, वो अपन एक बार वेरी शॉर्ट ड्यूरेशन ऑफ टाइम में डिस्कस करते हैं. सेक्शन 1 से 7 से लेकर 1 से 121 तक चैप्टर 8 में जो हैं ये प्रोविजंस कंटेन किए हुए हैं. रूल्स की अगर अपन बात करें तो रूल 108 से लेके 116 तक इसके रूल्स हैं, और अपील के जो फॉर्म्स हैं वो 01 से लेके 08 तक, और रिवीजन के लिए एक फॉर्म है जिसको RVN 1 नाम दिया गया है. Now let us start with section 107, right? 107 कहता है कि आप अपील 3 महीने के अंदर फाइल करें from the date of communication of the order to the appellant, and this appeal may be filed by any person against any order or decision to an appellate authority. I mean, when I say that any order, barring those 4 orders which I will be discussing later, all the orders or decisions may be appealed before the appellate authority. आपको इसमें 2 चीजें ध्यान रखनी है. पहला ये है कि 90 दिन के अंदर विद इन 3 months ये अपील फाइल होनी चाहिए और अपील ऑनलाइन फाइल होगी इलेक्ट्रॉनिकली. वो अपन रूल्स में भी डिस्कस करेंगे. और सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है वो 3 महीने कब से शुरू होंगे. वो 3 महीने शुरू होंगे आपके ऑर्डर कम्युनिकेशन से. Friends, let me assure you that if we talk about communication, then we can discuss hours together. What is the valid communication? When it is said that the delivery is valid. One of the case law I will discuss when we will discuss the judicial pronouncements, that कि delivery मानी नहीं गई, किस केस के अंदर delivery मानी जाएगी. So barring that, just keep in your mind that आपको 3 महीने के अंदर अपील फाइल करनी है उस तारीख से जिस दिन से आपको ऑर्डर रिसीव हो गया है. अर्लियर लॉज में वर्ड केवल ऑर्डर था, इन्होंने इसमें डिसीजन भी वर्ड डाल दिया है. मैं आपसे डिस्कस करूंगा कि ऐसा चेंज क्यों आया है. राइट, ये एक रिवीजन का प्रोविजन है जिसमें कमिश्नर सुओ मोटो कह सकता है कि साहब आपने ये जो ऑर्डर किया है इसको रिवाइज करो, इसकी अपील फाइल करो. 6 महीने के अंदर अंदर उसको वो अपील फाइल करनी है. इन्होंने ये टाइम उसमें 6 महीने का अपीलेट अथॉरिटी को रिवीजन के केस में दिया हुआ है. नाउ द कंडोनेशन ऑफ डिले इज ओनली फॉर 1 month. This, friends, I feel that this is harsh, क्योंकि ये कंडोनेशन को लिमिट करना एक तरीके से अपीलेट अथॉरिटी या को बांधना है कि आप इसके आगे नहीं जा सकते हैं. जबकि इन माय पर्सनल व्यू द अपीलेट अथॉरिटी मस्ट एक्ट इंडिपेंडेंटली. कोई एक इंडिपेंडेंट अथॉरिटी होनी चाहिए क्योंकि वो डिपार्टमेंट और असेसी दोनों को सुनती है एंड फिर वो जजमेंट पास करती है. इस केस के अंदर ही मस्ट बी अ न्यूट्रल मैन. बट व्हाई दे हैव डन दिस आई डोंट फेल टू अंडरस्टैंड, क्योंकि इससे प्रॉब्लम ही होने वाली है. कंडोनेशन 1 महीने का होगा. आप सोचिए 1 महीना इन परिस्थितियों में व्हाट वी फेस्ड इन लास्ट 2 years, that 1 month there are delays. They did not condone the delay. Even the Supreme Court had to come into picture, and suo moto they have taken the cognizance and they have extended the limitation. So that case we also will discuss. But 1 month, I don't know. I think that is a harsh provision which they have inserted in this particular piece of law. Now आप अपील फाइल करने की कुछ कंडीशंस हैं. अगर आपने कुछ अमाउंट अपील के अंदर एडमिट किया है कि मैं ये अमाउंट में मेरी गलती मानता हूँ, that entire amount needs to be deposited along with the 10% of the remaining tax. आपने जो अमाउंट एडमिट कर दिया वो 100% जमा कराएंगे. जो डिस्प्यूटेड अमाउंट है उसका आप 10% जमा कराएं सब्जेक्ट टू 25 करोड़. और जो मूवमेंट ऑफ गुड्स के केस हैं 129 फॉर दैट मैटर, उसमें आपको 25% पेनल्टी जमा करानी पड़ेगी. अगर आप ये जमा नहीं कराते हैं तो योर अपील विल नॉट बी फाइल्ड. One good provision is that in the service tax also it was there, but in VAT it was not there. Even after depositing the 10% of the requisite amount, the assessee had to file a stay application, and that application was totally on the mercy of the appellate authority, that he grants the stay or he doesn't grant the stay. So in this particular law, they have done away with that mercy of the appellate authority, and they said that you just deposit 10% or whatsoever it is there, and you will get the stay of the remaining amount. Now, opportunity, it is a simple thing. This another, I don't know why they have inserted is that 3 adjournments may be awarded. I don't find any good logic behind this, because 3 adjournments, I don't know. I don't find this relevant or, for that matter, logical or practical provision. But since they have inserted that in the law, then we have to abide by this. The grounds may be added. This is one thing. Another thing is very important. The assessing authority, the appellate authority, they can modify the demand. They can reduce, enhance. In case of enhancement, they have to issue a show cause notice first. And that is one thing where the show cause notice may be issued there. Now, one very important point which I have marked here is the remand. The appellate authority cannot remand the case. Earlier, if you see that see the service tax law as well as the VAT law, the remand was there. Now, for example, if you just see that these ex-party, these third-party information matters were there in the service tax, all those matters, most of the matters, I would say, were remanded back to the adjudicating authority again. So, had that provision not been there, then the burden, certainly the burden would shift on to the higher courts. Because the facts which are not correct, मान लीजिए कोई कैलकुलेशन किसी चीज की गलत है और उसमें आप कैसे डिसीजन दे सकते हैं? Once you say that this particular thing needs to be corrected and the case needs to be remanded back, कि आप उस केस को वापस रिमांड करें और असेसिंग अथॉरिटी उसको ठीक करके आपके पास भेजे. And what we do in what the appellate authority used to do in these kind of cases, they were invariably they were marking a direction to the adjudicating authority that in these directions, in the light of these directions, in line of these directions, you have to pass the order afresh. So those particular judgments were invariably given by the this I have already discussed with you that the show cause notice would be there. Another, I don't know, this is interesting that, you have to try and dispose of the appeal within 1 year. Needless to say, if any injunction of court or stay is there, then that period will also be excluded from this. Order will be communicated and binding on the parties. Now we'll jump to Rule 108 quickly. Rule 108 प्रोसीजर की बात कर रहा है कि आप ऑनलाइन अपील फाइल करें और उसका प्रोविजनल एक्नॉलेजमेंट जनरेट हो जाएगा. वो एक्नॉलेजमेंट अलोंग विद द सर्टिफाइड कॉपी ऑफ द ऑर्डर आप 7 दिन के अंदर असेसिंग अपीलेट अथॉरिटी के दफ्तर में जमा कराएं. उसके बाद आपको एक फाइनल रिसीट मिलेगी. एंड वंस दैट फाइनल एक्नॉलेजमेंट इज बीइंग जनरेटेड, देन इट विल बी द अपील विल बी डीम्ड टू बी फाइल्ड. अगर वो आपने 7 दिन में जमा नहीं कराई, तो जिस तारीख को आपने वो जमा कराई उस तारीख को अपील फाइल मानी जाएगी इफ यू हैव फाइल्ड दैट आफ्टर द पीरियड ऑफ 7 days. नाउ एक प्रॉब्लम यहाँ पे जो आ रही है वो ये आ रही है कि कई केसेस में व्हेन यू फाइल द अपील ऑनलाइन, APL 01 गेट्स जनरेटेड बट द प्रोविजनल एक्नॉलेजमेंट डजंट जनरेट, या वो जनरेट होती है तो दिखाई नहीं देती है. सो इन दैट केस you don't worry, just go to the department and tell them that this is APL 1 which is system generated. It means that we have filed the appeal. If that particular the provisional acknowledgement is not being generated, then you can say that this is the appeal filed with the department. So don't be tensed that the provisional acknowledgement is not generated. So this is one problem which we are facing right now in this particular thing. अपीलेट ट्राइब्यूनल की जहां तक बात है वो हम ज्यादा डिस्कस इसलिए नहीं करेंगे क्योंकि ये अभी बनी भी नहीं है. Even you see that in last few days the Supreme Court had to come into picture and they say that even after our repetitive directions why the government is not following, tribunals including this tribunal, other tribunals are not being framed or the members are not being appointed in those tribunals. तो ये एक इशू समझ से परे है. 4.25 साल होने के बाद भी अभी तक ट्राइब्यूनल का गठन नहीं हुआ है. और ये एक बड़ा कारण है कि जो केसेस हैं वो हाई कोर्ट में बहुत ज्यादा नंबर में केसेस पहुंच रहे हैं क्योंकि सेकंड अपील के लिए कोई रास्ता चालू ही नहीं है. कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन मैं अब आपसे ये ज्यादा इसमें डिस्कस नहीं करूंगा. आई विल जस्ट से दैट कि जो ऑर्डर 107 का है या उसको आप 108 का है उसको 3 महीने के अंदर आपको फाइल करना है. और 50,000 रुपए से कम की अगर कोई अपील होगी तो वो ट्रिब्यूनल में फाइल नहीं होगी. और एडिशनली आपको कुछ पैसा जमा कराना पड़ेगा. जो आपको क्रॉस ऑब्जेक्शन है उसके लिए आपको 45 days का टाइम दिया जाएगा. और आप डिले भी कंडोन 45 दिन का ही कर पाएंगे. So this is what is the basic thing which you need to know about the tribunal was there. And appeal में क्या problem आएगी अगर आप appeal file नहीं कर पाएंगे, अगर आपने entire amount deposit किया है, 20% additionally जमा हुआ है, what you have deposited in section 107 subsection 6, that amount in addition to that particular 10%, you need to deposit this 20% again. रिमेनिंग अमाउंट जो है वो आपका स्टे मान लिया जाएगा. एप्लीकेशन, दिस इज अ नॉर्मल प्रोसेस यू कैन अडॉप्ट. बट यहाँ पे एक रिमांड का जो पावर है वो अपीलेट अथॉरिटी को दे दिया कि भाई आप उस केस को रिमांड भी कर सकते हो. सिंस द ट्राइब्यूनल इज सपोज्ड टू बी द लास्ट फैक्ट फाइंडिंग अथॉरिटी, so this power has been given to the tribunal and not to the first appellate as we discussed, right? ये मैं स्किप कर जाता हूँ. ये मोटा मोटी उसी सेम पैटर्न पे चल रहे हैं प्रोविजंस जो हैं. एक सेक्शन 115 है, वो ये कहता है कि आपने जो अमाउंट 107(6) में और 112 में जमा कराया है वो आपको रिफंड ब्याज सहित वापस दे दिया जाए. आई डोंट नो हाउ how the government, the revenue will take it, but the provision is there in the law. Now, this is also one need to understand that who is the representative. अगर आपको पर्सनल एग्जामिनेशन जो हम ओथ पे अफर्मेशन लेते हैं, जिसे हम समन्स के नाम से जानते हैं, वो अगर नहीं है तो आप अपने ऑथराइज रिप्रेजेंटेटिव के थ्रू अपीयर डिपार्टमेंट में हो सकते हैं. वो आपका रिलेटिव या एम्प्लॉय भी हो सकता है, एडवोकेट, सीए या सीएस इन प्रैक्टिस हो, बट वो ये ध्यान रहे कि वो प्रैक्टिस से डिबार्ड नहीं किया गया हो. डिपार्टमेंट का कोई ऑफिसर भी हो अगर, लेकिन वो कम से कम 1 साल पहले रिटायर हो चुका होना चाहिए, या कोई भी जीएसटीपी अगर कोई है तो वो आपके ऑथराइज्ड रिप्रेजेंटेटिव बन सकते हैं. नाउ द मैटर कम्स दैट हु कैन नॉट बी एन ऑथराइज्ड रिप्रेजेंटेटिव. तो एक कोई आदमी जो डिबार हो गया है प्रोफेशन से, या कोई आदमी इंसॉल्वेंट है, या कोई आदमी गवर्नमेंट सर्विस से निकल चुका है, या किसी आदमी को कन्विक्शन हो चुका है जीएसटी एक्ट के तहत, वो आपका ऑथराइज्ड रिप्रेजेंटेटिव नहीं बन सकता है. दिस इज अ कॉमन थिंग दैट एक एक्ट में अगर वो डिस्क्वालिफाइड है तो सारे एक्ट्स में उसको डिस्क्वालिफाइड माना जाएगा. Just to give a bird's eye view that the 117 section says about the appeal to the High Court. The timeline which you need to know about is that 180 days from the communication, and delay can also be condoned in case of the High Court. हाई कोर्ट में जो केसेस जाएंगे उसमें एक इम्पॉर्टेंट चीज नोट करने की है, वो ऑर्डर्स जो स्टेट बेंच के या जो एरिया बेंचेस के जो ऑर्डर्स हैं, जो जीएसटी ट्राइब्यूनल की जो स्टेट बेंच है और जो एरिया बेंचेस हैं, मतलब ये एक हिरार्की उन्होंने बनाई है, नेशनल, फिर रीजन, फिर स्टेट और फिर रीजन, एरिया. तो एरिया और स्टेट की जो बेंचेस हैं वो बेंचेस के केसेस हाई कोर्ट में लगेंगे, और जो नेशनल और जो रीजनल बेंचेस हैं उनके जो केसेस हैं वो सुप्रीम कोर्ट में लगेंगे. 118 सेक्शन सेज दैट. प्रोविजन ये कहता है कि अगर आपने कोई अपील आगे फाइल कर दी, इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि आपकी रिकवरी प्रोसीडिंग्स हट जाएगी. हाँ, इफ यू हैव taken any, if you have obtained any stay from the honorable courts, in that case the recoveries or proceedings would be stayed. Otherwise, merely filing an appeal to the courts would not tantamount that you have given the relief in this particular thing, well, for the proceedings as well as the recovery of the demand. This is also not that. Now these 4 cases which I talked to you earlier were the non-appealable orders. Order transferring proceeding to another officer. आपने एक एप्लीकेशन लगाई, मुझे यहाँ से I feel that the justice would not be given to me from this particular officer, or this officer is working with a predetermined mind. In that case, the cases may be shifted, और उनको आप चैलेंज नहीं कर सकते हैं. कोई ऑर्डर है जिसमें आपकी प्रोसिक्यूशन हो चुका है, उन ऑर्डर्स को भी आप चैलेंज नहीं कर सकते हैं. सेक्शन 80 में अगर कोई ऑर्डर है वो इंस्टॉलमेंट्स, इफ यू हैव एनी टैक्स ड्यू और अदर सम पेबल, उसकी इंस्टॉलमेंट्स अगर होती है तो उस ऑर्डर को आप चैलेंज नहीं कर सकते हैं। और एक सर्च सीजर से रिलेटेड रिटेंशन जो है उसके अगेंस्ट में कोई ऑर्डर डिपार्टमेंट के उसमें असेसी नहीं कर सकता है। तो दीज आर द 4 orders which cannot be appealed against under the courts. Now this is the hierarchy. First appellate, then the cases will travel to the appellate tribunal, national tribunal, regional tribunal, the state tribunal, then area benches. Then it will go to high court in particular cases. State and area benches will go to high court, and national and region benches will go to Supreme Court. And this is how the hierarchy of this particular legal process is going. Now, friends, let us discuss some judgments which might be of help for you all while drafting your initial reply or while contesting your case before the appellate authority. First and foremost is the case of the Supreme Court for cognizance which they took, as I earlier discussed with you. They took the cognizance suo moto, considering the severity of the COVID-19 outbreak, in which everybody was locked down and the businesses were hampered, and people were fighting for their lives. During that particular period, in last 1.5 years, these scenarios are common. And the Supreme Court took suo moto cognizance, saying that whatever limitations are barring in this period, then those cases will be treated to be in time till the further orders. So first the order was pronounced in 2020 and the date was fixed for earlier 2021. Then again the order in the month of April was passed by the Supreme Court on the request of the SCAORA, that is the Supreme Court Advocate on Record Association. So उनके एक निवेदन पे उन्होंने वापस से इस डेट का एक्सटेंशन किया, and that is still going on. And the court restored the order of the March 2020 till the further orders. और इसके अंदर all judicial और quasi judicial proceedings को भी उन्होंने ऐड किया था. And friends, it is important to mention here that after this particular judgment, there were hue and cry about the applicability of this judgment on the proceedings also. So the word proceedings was used by the Honorable Supreme Court in this particular order. And later on, the department came out with a circular on this particular judgment, that where the judgment will apply and where the judgment will not apply. I don't think that is what should be done, but it is there. The judgment has been given by the CBIC. कि ये जो जजमेंट, दी सर्कुलर हैज बीन इशूड बाय द सीबीआईसी कि ये जो जजमेंट है ये किन किन केसेस के अंदर लगेगा और किन किन केसेस के अंदर नहीं लगेगा. बट द थिंग इज दैट इफ you have any appeals pending, your litigation pending for that period, then you can file it and it will be taken as filed within the time period. It will not be termed as a debarred time bar. Now friends, another important judgment is DY Beethel Enterprises. Let me tell you the facts of the case first, then we will discuss that what the courts decided about it. See friends, this case was the matter that a person purchased some good from another person. In this case, the Charles and his wife were these suppliers, and Beethel Enterprises purchased goods from them. Then they have paid the taxes to that, because you cannot purchase the goods without paying the taxes. So taxes were paid to the supplier. And later on, the supplier did not file the appeal. I filed the returns, and he did not deposit the tax. And this is how the entire case was framed. One good thing was there is that all the payments made to the Charles and his wife were through the banking channel. So it was on record that the recipient has discharged his liability to pay the taxes and the entire amount. as we all see that the department could not catch those people, the suppliers. So they asked the recipient, taking the shelter of section 16 subsection 2 clause C, that the tax has not been deposited by the supplier. In that case, you cannot take the ITC, and consequently ask them to reverse the ITC. So the matter went up to the court, and what the court said is the impugned order suffers from certain fundamental flaws. It has to be quashed for more than 2 reasons than one. What is say? उन्होंने ये कहा कि आपने जो परचेज सेलर है उसको एग्जामिन ही नहीं किया, उसने टैक्स क्यों नहीं जमा कराया, आप उसको जाके पकड़ो. You invariably in cases you see that for the convenience the department say that the recipient should reverse the ITC. Why? It must first be ensured that why the supplier has not deposited the tax. And one thing, friends, which I wanted to say, and the argument must be taken, that the supplier who collects the tax from the recipient is working as an agent of the government. The moment the government gives him the GST, the registration number, through which he entitles himself to collect the tax on behalf of the government and deposit it to the government later on. So once he has awarded the GST, he falls in the shoes of the government, and he becomes the government collection agent of the government. And once I have, the government has collected tax through his agent, and if he runs away, then what is my fault? The bona fide, why the bona fide purchaser be suffered about it? The court was very clear that, excuse me, the court was very clear that why don't you go and examine the supplier first, that why he has not deposited the tax. And the second is that the non-intimation of recovery. The court also said that the ITC process is not automatic. There was a press release which says, if I am not wrong, it was related to the the simplification of returns. So in that particular press release, it was mentioned that the ITC in such cases is not automatic reverse. Uska reversal automatic nahi hai. So court also took the cognizance of that particular press release and said that, okay, section 16(2)(c) is in place, but first you just examine that why the tax is not being deposited by the supplier. You cannot directly jump on the buyer or the recipient to reverse the ITC and not at all question the supplier why he has not deposited the tax which he has collected being an agent of the government. So this is an important judgment. You can write the citation of this and you can mention, because invariably these kind of cases are being found. You can take this as I said earlier also, the application of judicial pronouncements also needs to be checked before applying them. तो इसके फैक्ट्स जो हैं वो आप फैक्ट्स अपने केस से मिलाएं और इस केस को अगर आपके फैक्ट्स से मैच करता है then you can take the benefit of this particular case. Now friends, next case is related to any Equipment Solutions Private Limited, Tripura High Court. It is related with the e-way bill expiration period. I will brief you about the facts. What happened that there was a company who was dealing in some machinery products and big machines, and one of its equipment was moving from Silchar to the Agartala. And when the goods were in movement, the transport department said that this particular vehicle is not registered in Tripura, and they detained the vehicle on which the goods were traveling. Now what happened? Suppose today is 11th, the e-way bill was generated on 11th of September, and it entered there, and the transport department detained the goods, and it was stood there for 2 days, and after 48 hours the e-way bill expired. Now what happened after that? After payment of due taxes and penalties to the transport department, the vehicle was released and it moved further. In the meantime, what happened? The assessee generated a new e-way bill. Now, on the next stoppage, the GST department detained the vehicle and said that the e-way bill has expired, and therefore the penalty and other implications would be there. So in that backdrop, what the Honorable Court held is that in the light of the discussion above, I am of the view that the reversal of ITC involving what these next we have gone. I think that we have gone to the next slide. चलिए मैं आपको वैसे ही बता देता हूँ, ये AR स्टील का जजमेंट आ गया. इसके अंदर ऑनरेबल कोर्ट ने कहा the validity expired on account of unforeseen and unexpected delay in crossing the check post since the transport department stopped the movement of the vehicle on the ground that the machinery was not registered in the state of Tripura. So this is what the court said, and you just see that मैंने इनिशियली आपसे कहा था कोर्ट्स ने भी कई जगह कई बार कुछ बड़ी हार्श सी बात, कुछ एक स्ट्रिक्ट स्टेटमेंट दिया. They said that the tax authorities must make a clear distinction between a deliberate tax evasion and technical or minor defects which manifest no intention to evade tax. So this is how the Tripura High Court came out in this particular judgment कि डिपार्टमेंट को ये देखना चाहिए कि इंटेंशन था कि नहीं था. ये अनकंट्रोलेबल एक सिचुएशन थी जिसकी वजह से वो ई-वे बिल एक्सपायर हो गया और ये बिल नया जनरेट भी कर दिया गया. सो डिपार्टमेंट नीड टू सी कि इंटेंशन ऑफ इवेजन ऑफ टैक्स वहां था या नहीं था. So this is a good judgment which you can use. The citation is Civil Writ Petition 577/2021 Tripura High Court. I repeat, 577/2021 Tripura High Court. Now we will see that ARS Steel and Alloys International Private Limited, the Madras High Court. What it says that एक बड़ा छोटा सा इशू था कि आईटीसी का जो रिवर्सल है, वो जो लॉस हैं, जो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग के लॉसेस हैं, क्या उन पे भी आप 17(5)H को अप्लाई कर सकते हो क्या? व्हाट 17(5)H सेज दैट आईटीसी आपकी ब्लॉक हो जाएगी अगर आपका कोई गुड्स डिस्ट्रॉय हो गया, कुछ डिस्पोज ऑफ हो गया, अदरवाइज देन बाय वे ऑफ गिफ्ट, विल और लॉस. सो इन दैट केस आपको आईटीसी का रिवर्सल 17(5)H में करना पड़ेगा. सो दिस वाज कन्फाइंड टू दैट पर्टिकुलर thing. What the court held in that case is that in the light of the discussion above, I am of the view that the reversal of ITC involving 17(5)H by the revenue in cases of loss by consumption of input tax in the inherent manufacturing loss, क्योंकि वो है. आप अगर इस इन मैन्युफैक्चरिंग प्रोसेस में मान लीजिए एक्स आइटम में डालेंगे और उसका वाई आइटम बन के आएगा, तो कुछ बीच में उसका लॉस होना, एक इवेपोरेशन होना या लॉस होना, वो बिल्कुल लाजमी है, वो इनहेरेंट है, वो नेचुरल है, वो होगा ही होगा. In that case, when you know that this case, this particular loss will be inherent, ये होगा ही होगा. So you cannot say that the ITC will be blocked on account of 17(5)H in the situations where it cannot be denied that this particular thing is the loss in this particular case is inherent and it will always be done. Evaporation या loss इसके अंदर होना ही है. This is a good judgment of Madras High Court, and the benefit of this particular thing in particular case may be taken by us. Now the NE comes. This we have already discussed. Now commercial steel company. This is also again the case of Telangana High Court, and it also relates to the section 68, means the goods in movement. And what happened in this particular case, that the goods were dispatched from Karnataka to Telangana, and for some reasons the vehicle went off route, maybe of any cause, and the department detained the goods and imposed the tax and penalty, saying that you need to go from this way, and you went on this way, you are coming like this, then is in this particular case you are going off route and your intention was to unload the goods at some place than that of which is mentioned in the invoice. These all are going hypothetical presumptive things in the mind of the department. But since the vehicle was off route, then it was said that the tax and penalty would be levied on in the appellant. And one more important things to mention here is that all the requisite documents as per the section 68 and rule 138A, those were there with the vehicle, and what those particular documents are. Rule says that bill, e-way bill, invoices, delivery challan, these things are need to be accompanied with the goods, and then the requirement of section 68 is fulfilled. Those particular documents were presented for verification before the authority. Now you just see what the honorable court held in this particular case. Very, very, very strict judgment. Just see that. In our considered opinion, the imputed action of the respondent in the collecting the amount of 4 lakhs from the petitioner towards tax and penalty under the GST Act, under threat of detention of vehicle carrying the said goods for an absurd reason, wrong destination, when the vehicle in question is carried all the proper documents. The court is also saying that documents were proper as per section 68, evidencing that it was an interstate sale transaction is clearly arbitrary, violative of section 14, which I discussed earlier with you, article 265 I discussed, article 300 capital A of the Constitution of India. कोर्ट यहीं पे नहीं रुका, उन्होंने आगे भी कहा, accordingly the writ petition is allowed as above with cost of 25,000 rupees. When you see that the court has made cost, it means a lot. मतलब आप ये देखिए कि कोर्ट्स को यहाँ तक कहना पड़ रहा है कि आपने एब्सर्ड रीजन ले लिया, आप ऐसा नहीं कर सकते और आपने ऐसा किया है इसलिए मैं आपके ऊपर कॉस्ट लगाता हूँ 25,000 रुपए की. You just see, just note down this particular case, क्योंकि ई-वे बिल के केसेस अलग-अलग तरीके से आ रहे हैं. Even after the issuance of this particular circular which the CBIC issued, in which minor mistakes are allowed कि भाई ठीक है अगर minor mistakes हो गई हैं तो आप नहीं करेंगे, उनके ऊपर भी केसेस बन रहे हैं. There are lot many cases, बहुत सारे केसेस आपको मिल जाएंगे जो छोटी छोटी गलतियों की वजह से हैं और कोर्ट्स ने इनवेरिएबली उन सारी डिमांड्स को, इन ऑर्डर्स को क्वैश किया हुआ है. Now friends, moving forward to KP Sugandh versus State of Jharkhand. Now it is also related to the movement of goods, but the facts of the case were that the goods were undervalued in this particular case. Now I will directly jump on to the judgment since the time is running out. The court held that given the said facts and circumstances of the case, I have already given you the prime fact that the goods were undervalued. Undervaluation of a good in the invoice cannot be a ground for detention of the goods and vehicle for a proceedings to be drawn under 129. It is very clear. Even if you read the section 68 and section 129, they will say that this is and rule 138A, it says that these are the documents, these are the penalties. 129 says that the penalty will be levied in this light, but consequent to 68 and 138 rule, uske consequence mein penalty lagegi. But the thing is, undervaluation cannot be a base for imposition of penalty under section 129. This is in the KP Sugandh case, the Honorable Jharkhand High Court has mentioned narrated in this particular judgment. This is also a good judgment which can be used in the initial replies when the MOVs are issued to you. Now, another important judgment of Safari Retreat Limited. Let me give you the background of this particular thing. It says that मैंने कोई प्रॉपर्टी कंस्ट्रक्ट करी विद द इंटेंशन कि मैं एक होटल बना रहा हूँ, उस होटल को बना के मैं उसको लीज पे देके उससे मैं इनकम कमाऊंगा और उस पर मैं टैक्स दूंगा. with this intention, I made the hotel, and the entire credit of the material I have taken. So that particular thing, ITC, I have adjusted against my thing. Now the government said that since it is a removable property, and it cannot be as per section 17 subsection 5 small d, you cannot take the credit. Now, argument which was put forth by the appellant was कि एक तो ये मैं completion certificate के बाद में कुछ नहीं लिया है मैंने, and the second is जो construction of property है वो मेरे खुद के use के लिए नहीं है. This I will be letting out for some business purposes. So these contention were taken by the department. तो उन्होंने कहा कि ये जो आपने ITC disallow करी है ये जायज नहीं. The thing is कि मैंने कोई चीज होटल बनाने के लिए चीजें काम में ली और उस केस के अंदर आपने मेरे को ITC डिनाई कर दी. The arguments taken by the appellant I just discussed with you. Honorable court said that prayer of applicant accepted that not allowing the ITC would resulted in double taxation. वो तो इस एक्ट के अंदर हर जगह हो रहा है. वो तो 17(5) की वजह से जो झील है वो काफी हद तक इस ITC की चले गई है. चलिए उसको एक बार छोड़ते हैं. The first at the time of procuring of goods मैंने टैक्स दे दिया, and second at the time of making outward supply, that is on rental income. तो जब मैं आपको टैक्स दे रहा हूं तो आप उस चीज को मना क्यों कर रहे हैं? It cannot be done that you are ready to collect tax from one hand but you are not ready to give the ITC from the second hand. You have to be rational with that I need, if I am asking to pay the tax, then I have to give the credit back also to the applicant. So this is how this is a landmark judgment. This is a very good judgment, and as expected the matter is pending before the Honorable Supreme Court. Let us see what happens, but till the time the judgment of the Supreme Court comes, this order is effective. Excuse me. And we can, if the client agrees, and if we want to take the aggressive opinion on this, then this judgment may be of use for you all. Now the next is in case of Ram Babu Singh versus State of Bihar. This is a matter of नेचुरल जस्टिस कि एक एक्स पार्टी ऑर्डर कर दिया, जो मैंने आपसे पहले भी डिस्कस किया था. मैटर को चैलेंज किया कि भाई नेचुरल जस्टिस नहीं हुआ, हमको सुना नहीं और हमको अपॉर्चुनिटी नहीं दी गई, एक एक्स पार्टी ऑर्डर पास कर दिया गया है. तो इस केस के अंदर कोर्ट ने उसको डायरेक्ट किया कि इनके जो बैंक अकाउंट फ्रीज करे हुए हैं आप उनको खोलो, और उस केस को उन्होंने छोड़ दिया कि आप मेरिट के ऊपर इसको डिसाइड करें, एंड द अपॉर्चुनिटी मस्ट बी गिवन टू द applicant in that case. The associated power structure case, in this case also, this also relates to the natural justice, but what the court observed here is interesting. It says that we only caution the officer to careful in future and not commit such mistake again. For such type of mistake not only causes harassment to the parties but also shatters faith in the people of the system. Now just see the words used by the Honorable Court for the revenue, and if you read these these lines, then you will realize how the courts are feeling about the judgments, about the orders passed by the revenue. They had to write that we only caution the officer to be careful in future. It is just like a warning, and not commit such mistakes again. For such type of mistake not only causes harassment to the parties, more importantly also shatters faith in the people in the system. So this is what the Honorable Bihar High Court narrated in one of this judgment. Now moving to the next judgment is Jodhpur Vidyut Vitran Nigam Limited. It relates to one notification and with a circular notification 12/17 and the circular 34/8/18. What it says that basically the fact was that the circular, the notification 17 exempts the supply of distribution of electricity, and later on department came out with a circular dated 34/8/18. It says that these services will not be exempted, like metering or fixing a meter, taking reading, and these kind of services will not be exempted under this particular thing. Excuse me. Now, what the court said that this particular extent of the clause 4(1) of this particular circular is not in conformity with the notification issued number 12/17, which exempts a particular service, which is the distribution of electricity, and these particular 3, 4, 5 services which are mentioned in clause 4(1) of this circular, they are part and parcel of this distribution parent electricity service. Now, once the parent service is exempted by virtue of a notification, then merely issuing a circular cannot excuse me, cannot confine the boundaries of the notification. And this is rightly mentioned by the Honorable Court that this particular 4(1) clause is not in conformity with law and it is going beyond the notification issued. Therefore, the virus which was challenged for this limited extent was extended, and the court said that it is ultra virus to the notification, and this circulars was the limited extended circular was declared ultra virus by the Honorable Court. Now, this is an important judgment, VKC footsteps. It relates to the allowability of refunds on services also. Now, these are the facts of the case. Refund of ITC related to services in case of inverted duty structure. We all know that section 54(3), all know that what is the inverted duty structure. When we procure the raw materials at a higher rate and the outward products goes for a lower rate, then this particular gap of the input and output, that is called the inverted duty, which needs to be refunded as per section 54. So in the case was related to inverted duty structure, and in this case the service part was denied by the revenue. The Honorable Gujarat High Court observed that 54(3) जो है वो registered person को refund claim करने के लिए कह रहा है ITC से related, और Rule 89(5) उसको restrict नहीं कर सकता, क्योंकि when you read section 54(3) it covers the input tax credit, everything. But when you travel through Rule 89 sub Rule 5, the word which is written there is input tax credit of inputs. So एक ये problem वहाँ पे generate हुई, जो मेरी नजर में जो इनपुट है या इनपुट सर्विस है उन दोनों की क्रेडिट अलाउ होनी चाहिए थी, बट somehow it is mentioned in the law, so we have to abide by the law. Since the credit was denied by the department, the matter went up to the High Court, and Honorable High Court ने इसका जो वायरस 89(5) का था उसको अल्ट्रा वायरस डिक्लेयर किया कि this is going against the law. But what happened at the same time, Trans-Tunnel Story, AFCON's joint ventures with the Union of India, Madras High Court had came out with another judgment, which I initially discussed with you, that no, this is not ultra virus with the law, and the rule stands affirmed. So what will happen in those kind of cases where one High Court says that this particular provision is ultra virus to the law, and the another says that no, the virus is very much intact and it cannot be declared as an ultra virus. So my humble submission in this case is that we should, since there is no specific judgment of Rajasthan High Court on this as of now, then we should take the shelter of Gujarat High Court. Obviously the department will say that the Madras High Court is also standing against the Gujarat High Court. But since the Gujarat High Court is in favor of the SSC, then we need to take shelter of that particular judgment, and we may mention that judgment in our replies or correspondence with the department. Now friends, a small judgment of Balaji Theatre versus Chief Secretary. इस केस के अंदर क्या हुआ था कि जब मैं कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में आपकी बात कर रहा था तो 243, 243CW और म्यूनिसिपलिटी से रिलेटेड भी कुछ ट्रांजैक्शंस थे। व्हेन आई टॉक्ड अबाउट 246 कैपिटल ए, जिससे जीएसटी लॉ हुआ, एंट्री 62 अमेंडमेंट 101st अमेंडमेंट से एंट्री अमेंड हुई। उन चीजों में एक लोकल अथॉरिटी जो म्यूनिसिपलिटी है उसने एंटरटेनमेंट टैक्स लगा दिया सिनेमा पे। नाउ एंटरटेनमेंट टैक्स लगाया तो सबको ये मालूम है कि एंटरटेनमेंट टैक्स सब्स्यूम हो गया जीएसटी के अंदर एंड इट इज नो मोर इन एग्जिस्टेंस, बट दैट इज इन फैक्ट नॉट द केस। The entertainment tax which is being levied at the municipality levels, those are still intact. When you read entry 62 along with the 101st constitutional amendment, you will realize that the same matter went up to the Madras High Court, and court decided in the same light that the state list, you read with entry 62, and you will find that the municipality can impose the entertainment tax on in these scenarios. Now, next judgment is Robbins Tunneling and Trenchless Technology India Private Limited. इसमें क्या है, एक बोनाफाइड मिस्टेक को कोर्ट ने कहा कि ठीक है, आप बोनाफाइड मिस्टेक है उसको ट्रीटमेंट अलग तरीके से करिए, बट यू कैन नॉट impose the same penalty for bona fide minor mistakes and the mistakes which are apparent, which are not accepted under section 68 or rule 138. इसके फैक्ट्स क्या थे? मशीन एक रिसीव हुई एचओ को यूएसए से मुंबई में, और उसका एक सीएफए एजेंट उन्होंने अपॉइंट किया। मशीन जानी थी कटनी एमपी ऑफिस। Now what happened, CFA ने गलती से, जो क्लियरिंग एंड फॉरवर्डिंग एजेंट है, उसने गलती से खुद का ही नाम लिख दिया उस बिल के अंदर एज अ रेसिपिएंट। केस पकड़ लिया, एंड द कोर्ट, व्हाट कोर्ट रिटन इन दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, वर्बेटम आई विल रीड फॉर दिस। The regard being had to be pleaded advanced on behalf of the parties and bestowing our anxious consideration on the relevant provisions of the GST Act, we find that the respondents are not justified in rejecting the appeal of the petitioner on the ground that the mistake committed while generating e-way bill was not a clerical error or a small mistake. उसकी जगह CFA ने खुद का लिख दिया कि मैं ये रिसिपिएंट हूँ, गलती से वो e-way bill में चला गया। Accordingly, the impugned order passed by the respondent confirming the tax and penalty to the tune of 22,24,000 are hereby quashed. Now is important. It says that the respondents are directed to consider the case of the petitioner for imposing of a minor penalty. Court are not saying that you have not made a mistake. Yes, you have committed a mistake, and for that penalty should be there. But what court says that the imposition of penalty जो है वो minor penalty लगनी चाहिए, right? Treating it to be a clerical mistake as per circular dated 14th September 2018, which I discussed with you earlier, issued by the Ministry of Finance. आप उस सर्कुलर की लाइट में जो माइनर मिस्टेक्स है उस पर माइनर पेनल्टी लगाइए। ये नहीं है कि आपने उठा के 122 की पेनल्टी सीधी लगा दी, आप उस पर माइनर पेनल्टी लगाइए कि आपने ये, और उस पर्टिकुलर जो सर्कुलर है उसमें 500,000 रुपए की पेनल्टी उसके अंदर मेंशन की हुई है, तो आप उस पेनल्टी को लगाएं, माइनर मिस्टेक पे आप हार्श पेनल्टी ना लगाएं। तो दिस इज अ गुड जजमेंट, क्योंकि अभी कई केसेस ऐसे देखने में आ रहे हैं कि दोनों तरफ जो कोर्ट ऑलरेडी डिसाइड भी कर चुके हैं कि ए का एड्रेस ही रिसिपिएंट में भी चले गया और उसमें भी चले गया, सप्लायर में भी चले गया, या मैंने पिन कोड गलत भर दिया। तो ये सब चीजों की वजह से कुछ लिटिगेशन हो रहा है, और उस लिटिगेशन को कम करने के लिए कोर्ट्स इस तरीके के जजमेंट हमारे पास आ रहे हैं। नाउ नेक्स्ट जजमेंट इज GWC एल्सफार्ट वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ त्रिपुरा। ये भी एक इंटरेस्टिंग जजमेंट है। इसमें क्या हुआ कि एक ई-वे बिल जनरेट किया गया और उसमें कुछ ऑप्शंस आते हैं, एक रेगुलर व्हीकल आता है, एक ओडीसी आता है। ओडीसी का मतलब होता है आपकी ओवर डायमेंशनल कार्गो। तो आपको एक सेलेक्ट करना पड़ता है टिक करके कि मेरा व्हीकल ये है। इस केस के अंदर क्या हुआ कि उन्होंने जो व्हीकल था उसको ओडीसी सेलेक्ट कर दिया, ओवर डायमेंशनल कार्गो। नाउ व्हाट हैपेंड इन दैट केस कि उस व्हीकल को पकड़ लिया चुराई बारी में। उन्होंने ये कहा कि ये जो because what ODC is, I hope that you understand. ODC is a vehicle which moves very slowly. It goes very very slow. आप देखते होंगे वो बड़े बड़े ट्रेलर्स होते हैं, उनमें 100 पहिए लगे हुए हैं, बहुत धीरे धीरे चलते हैं. उनकी स्पीड ही पूरे दिन की बहुत कम होती है, 25 किलोमीटर, 30 किलोमीटर, 20 किलोमीटर ऐसी स्पीड से चलते हैं. तो उनके लिए एक अलग से दिया हुआ है, और उसके ईवे बिल की वैलिडिटी है वो काफी ज्यादा होती है रेगुलर वालों से. तो इन्होंने गलती से रेगुलर व्हीकल की जगह ओडीसी डाल के उसको सेलेक्ट कर लिया, व्हीकल को डिटेन कर दिया. उन्होंने कहा कि हमने जहां आपको पकड़ा और जहां से ये व्हीकल स्टार्ट हुआ था उसकी दूरी इतनी है कि मान लीजिए 250 किलोमीटर है, जो आप एक दिन में, 1.5 दिन में पूरी कर चुके हो, तो ये ओडीसी तो आपका है नहीं. उन्होंने कहा आपने रॉन्ग डिक्लेरेशन दे दिया था. नाउ ऑनरेबल कोर्ट जो है उन्होंने कहा कि भाई आप गुड्स तो छोड़ो, ओडीसी अगर गलती से हो गया है तो ये गुड्स को तो एक बार रिलीज करो, 50% पैसा ही दे देते हैं, वेरी बैलेंस्ड ऑर्डर, और 50% की ये बैंक आपको श्योरिटी बॉन्ड दे देंगे, और आप जो व्हीकल है उसको रिलीज करें और फ्रेश एक ऑर्डर पास करें कंसिडरिंग ऑल दी सिचुएशंस. सो द वेरी बैलेंस्ड ऑर्डर वाज पास बाय द Honorable Tripura High Court in this particular manner, particular matter. Now, friends, this will be the last judgment which will be discussing, Mahavir Enterprises versus State of Gujarat. Now, it was related to the provisional attachment which I discussed with you earlier. What happened in this particular case is that the final order in DRC 07 was passed by the proper officer. Now, after passing this particular order, what he did was he provisionally attached the passed the attachment order under section 83. Now, the question came before the honorable court was that whether this particular order under section 83 can be passed after passing the final order in DRC 03. In the backdrop of section 83, what it says is that it is when the proceedings are in continue mode, and the proper officer thinks that the person against whom the proceedings are on, he may influence the proceedings, or he may run away with the before the completion of the proceeding. In that case, he can pass an order and he can provisionally attach the properties of the assessee. But it is clearly written there that while the proceedings are on. Now, what happened in this case that already the order has been passed in DRC 07. Even then, the powers of section 83 were invoked. The court said that in the circumstances referred above, the impugned order of provisional attachment purported to have been passed under section 83 of the Act could be said to be without jurisdiction. And they set aside the order. Now you just see that how things are going. Why I'm telling you this 83, because this is not a repetitive things which happens, but the mindset of the department, the understanding of the department, the approach of the department is like we have to, everybody is sab vyapari chor hai, sab bag jayenge. So that is how they are thinking, and maybe I would not say that, but still it requires a hell lot of training for the department officials also, that how they should proceed, and these things need to be understood by the department also. So with that, friends, I conclude my deliberation today, and the field is open for you all to, if you have any kind of questions with you with regard to legal as well as the practical issues in this particular thing, then we are open to discuss your issues with that. Now I hand over to the organizers. Kalpit.
Anyone have any questions? In all the participants? लगता है किसी का ही नहीं आ रहा.
क्वेश्चंस नहीं, अगर किसी का कोई एप्रीहेंशन है, कोई ये है कि हम इस फील्ड में आगे कैसे आए, एंड आई रियली वांट कि जो यंग पार्टिसिपेंट्स हैं जितने भी हैं, अगर वो इन फील्ड्स में आगे आना चाहें तो मैं, दिस इज माय ऑफर कि आप अगर कोई प्रॉब्लम कभी भी आपको कहीं भी आ रही हो तो यू कैन एनी डे यू कैन अप्रोच मी. I am very much approachable, and I would be more than happy to, you know, solve your whatsoever any problem of yours regarding in this. या कल के
तो सेशन अभी कोई और है, कोई किसी क्वेश्चन से, किसी के अभी कोई भी किसी भी टाइप के? देन अभी एंड करते हैं सेशन को. थैंक यू फॉर द ऑल द पार्टिसिपेंट्स एंड द एंटायर मैनेजमेंट कमेटी ऑफ जयपुर ब्रांच. और जितने भी मेंबर्स ने आज बहुत अपने को टाइम दिया, इम्पोर्टेंट टाइम, उसके लिए भी धन्यवाद सभी का. तो अभी सेशन एंड करते हैं अपन सब लोग.